He turned denim into couture and made leopard print a global obsession. Roberto Cavalli built a fashion empire worn by Beyoncé and worshipped by the boldest names in pop culture. But how did the king of excess lose it all? Fame, fortune, and his name. He wasn't born with a silver spoon, but he was born with a gift. Roberto Cavalli entered the world on November 15, 1940, in a quiet suburb of Florence, Italy. His childhood wasn't soaked in glamour or glitz. It was marked by heartbreak. His father was killed in the Cavriglia massacre when Roberto was only 4. But loss didn't break him. It shaped him. Raised by his mother, a skilled tailor, and influenced by his grandfather, a celebrated painter in the Macchiaioli movement, whose work hung in the Uffizi Gallery, Cavalli grew up surrounded by creativity. Art, color, texture. They were in his blood. By 1957, he was walking the marble halls of the Academy of Fine Arts in Florence, but instead of copying still life, he was drawn to textiles. While his classmates painted portraits, Cavalli was printing flowers on knitwear, and it didn't take long before major Italian manufacturers were calling. That's when things started to shift. Fast. Now let me take you to the early 70s. This is where Cavalli pulled his first true magic trick. While everyone else was following trends, he was creating them. In 1970, Roberto patented a method of printing directly onto leather, mixing vibrant colors with animal hides like no one else dared. Paris was the first to notice. That same year, he debuted a collection that stopped people in their tracks. Leather patchworks, bold contrasts, colors that screamed rebellion. Cavalli's runway didn't whisper sophistication. It roared, and luxury giants like Hermès and Pierre Cardin took note, commissioning his work. 2 years later, he took the heat back to Italy and unveiled his women's collection at the iconic Salsa Bianca in Florence. Picture this: printed denim, handcrafted patchworks, vivid brocades, and of course, wild animal prints. In a sea of safe elegance, Cavalli's work was loud, luxurious, and unapologetically sexy. He once said, "I want to give women the ability to be themselves and to feel in charge of their own destiny." That year, he also opened his first boutique in Saint-Tropez, planting a flag in the epicenter of high-end vacation fashion. Now fast forward to 1994. Milan, Fashion Week. This was the moment Cavalli unleashed one of his wildest ideas yet: sand-blasted jeans. The fashion world hadn't seen anything like it. Worn denim with an edge of high fashion? Yes. He took rugged jeans, treated them like luxury items, and turned them into runway stars. Soon after, stretched denim followed, then printed jeans. Every step, he pushed harder, took risks, and somehow made chaos look elegant.
I wanted to make these jeans old. I started to make the jeans old by hand like that.
By the end of that year, Cavalli was a global brand. He opened stores in Venice, Saint-Barth, and the French Caribbean. He wasn't slowing down. He was building an empire with animal prints as his royal crest. In the early 2000s, he launched Just Cavalli, a diffusion line aimed at younger audiences. This wasn't a watered-down version of his main line. It was wild, rebellious, and dripping in sex appeal. From beachwear to accessories, from watches to eyewear, Cavalli didn't just dress people. He transformed them.
A special, wonderful, beautiful dress in one night can change your life.
And if you thought he stopped at clothes, think again. He dipped into everything. Cavalli vodka, Cavalli home, fragrances. He opened lounges and cafes, including the Just Cavalli Cafe in Milan's Torre Branca. Then came the Cavalli Club in Dubai, a glittering monument to excess and exotic style. He was designing interiors just like his clothes: bold, gold, and over the top. If it wasn't dripping in animal print or crystal chandeliers, it wasn't Cavalli. Behind the scenes, he had a softer side too. Roberto loved the countryside. He raced horses. He adored his farm. He had 5 children and often spoke about how women inspired every piece he created. He once said, "A muse is a woman that I admire. Women that I admire give me inspiration."
I love a woman. Really, I start my career because I love a woman. And I start to understand that every woman, what she needs, what she likes, the feeling.
His designs weren't just for women. They were about them, celebrating their power, their allure, their freedom. You could see it in the slinky cuts, the bold shapes, and the fearless patterns. Cavalli didn't design to hide curves. He designed to amplify them.
Definition of a perfect woman.
First, I don't like the perfect woman.
Oh, okay, good.
And it worked. Hollywood came calling. His gowns lit up red carpets. Beyoncé, Jennifer Lopez, Madonna, Shakira. His clothes weren't just fashion statements. They were performances. Sensual, bold, and meant to be remembered.
Woman that love to show herself, love to show her personality.
By the late 2000s, the Roberto Cavalli name was everywhere. Just Cavalli exploded in popularity. His collaborations stretched across industries. In 2007, he became the first Italian designer to partner with H&M, bringing his signature glam to high street fashion. Fans camped outside for hours. The entire collection sold out in a record time. That same year, the Cavalli empire celebrated its 40th anniversary with a show in Paris that was more rock concert than runway. But while the brand was booming in public, the pressure behind the scenes was mounting. Managing so many product lines, running boutiques across continents, and keeping up with a rapidly changing industry started to stretch the company thin. By 2010, Cavalli had launched an interior design arm, Roberto Cavalli Home, showcasing his flair for maximalist living in plush sofas, velvet drapes, and yes, leopard print walls. He signed licensing deals for perfumes with Coty and handed Just Cavalli to the OTB Group for wider distribution. In 2011, he was still showcasing collections, like the one at the Brandery in Barcelona, and receiving awards, like an honorary diploma in fashion management from Domus Academy in 2013. Even then, Cavalli wasn't dialing it down. He was still building, still dreaming, still designing. But all empires have a tipping point. Cavalli was never one to follow the herd. And in fashion, that's a risky move. By the early 2010s, minimalism was sweeping across the industry. Neutrals, clean lines, quiet luxury. It was the rise of the understated. But if you know Cavalli, you know understated was never his thing.
My personal luxury, to be free. The freedom, for me, is the most important.
While other brands went beige, he went bolder. While fashion houses played it safe with sleek suits and monotone palettes, Cavalli doubled down on leopard prints, serpent motifs, and dresses that looked like they belonged on Roman goddesses heading to a nightclub. And you know what? That was the magic. He embraced maximalism like it was a personal mission. And honestly, he made it work longer than anyone thought possible. But behind the flash, cracks were forming. By 2014, the company was pulling in around 210 million euros in revenue, but losing money. 12 million euros gone that year. Leadership was shifting, creative directors were rotating in and out, and Cavalli was starting to pull back. He handed off the reins of the men's line to his son Daniel, but eventually stepped back in himself. Then came talks with investors. First Investcorp, then Clepsydra SGR bought 90% of the brand in 2015. They had big plans, but turning around a fashion house built on excess isn't easy in a world asking for less. Headquarters moved from Milan to Osmanoro. Costs were cut. Stores were closed. The US operations collapsed in 2019. 8 stores gone. 93 employees laid off. North America shut down completely under Chapter 7. It was a brutal unraveling for a brand that had once ruled red carpets and VIP lounges. But Cavalli, the man, never lost his shine. Even when the brand was sold off to Dubai billionaire Hussein Sajwani later that year, Cavalli remained a legend. And that legacy? It still roars. If you look around today, his influence is everywhere. From Beyoncé's stage looks to high street knockoffs of tiger stripes and snake patterns, his DNA lives on in every glam meets wild aesthetic. And let's be real, no one did sexy like Cavalli. He made women feel like goddesses wrapped in velvet, silk, and danger. He brought lycra into jeans. He sandblasted denim when no one else thought it could be done. He didn't just make clothes, he sculpted confidence. And even his business empire reflected that attitude. Clubs in Dubai, cafes in Florence, Cavalli vodka, Cavalli wine from his own vineyard in Tuscany. He didn't want to sell you a product, he wanted to sell you a fantasy. Even when Cavalli no longer owned his empire, his aesthetic stayed intact. The new creative director, Fausto Puglisi, continued the legacy with collections still draped in drama, print, and power. Cavalli's death in April 2024 marked the end of an era, but not the end of his influence. He passed away at 83 in his hometown of Florence after a long illness, leaving behind a career that shaped not only a brand, but an entire vision of beauty and boldness. So what do we take from all this? Roberto Cavalli proved that excess, when done with passion, can be an art form. His clothes weren't just about trends. They were about identity, energy, attitude. And even in bankruptcy, the name Roberto Cavalli still stands for audacity, for sensuality, for the unapologetically fierce. From his wild beginnings with patchwork leather to his final days watching his legacy stride across runways and real estate, Cavalli stayed true to his vision. If you breathe fashion like it's oxygen, then this channel is your runway. Hit that subscribe button, throw us a like, and let's keep watching the icons who turned chaos into couture. See you in the next one.